on the ground floor now, and it's a bit of a fast forward as I started the first 2 years kind of easy going without any great skills. I tore down the suspended ceilings and revealed these old blackened chestnut ceilings and the old beams. Then, of course, there was a lot of material to sort out, and I had to separate all this wood from paint and the fine mortar. That gave firewood and planks that I could reuse in the attic. The larger boards came from the floor I tore out downstairs in the living room. It was totally rotten and not insulated at all from below. It was also kind of damp from underneath for decades. I lined up these boards outside and first sprayed them with a hose because decades of dust were everywhere in these cracks.
Solo musica italiana con Anna e Marco, un disco meraviglioso del 79 che prendeva proprio il suo nome, Lucio Dalla. Pensate che Anna e Marco era la prima traccia del lato B. Incredibile, vabbè, il disco dell'ultima.
Now you can already see how the walls are partly freed from the old plaster. Here, this beautiful little stove. It had to go up to the second floor. And then it goes on with the partition wall that we took out. This is relatively easy to do because the partition walls are not load-bearing walls. They were built up with a simple wooden structure and smaller stones. You can have a wall like that tore down in a couple of hours. But there is a lot of material piling up again, and you have to transport it out of the house and store it somewhere nearby. I have cleared a place in our slope underneath and have filled up that part of the slope. You can also see how I stabilized the ceiling in the middle with a cross beam, although the old beams run from front to back in one piece. All the weight from the roof is supported on the outer walls, so there is not much weight inside the rooms. A huge job then was digging down to be able to concrete the new floor and insulate it, and to deal with the water flowing through coming from the rock behind. I had to excavate at least 40 centimeters, and I did that with a borrowed jackhammer. There is of course rock appearing underneath, so that was weeks of tedious work. Piling up stones, carrying stones, throwing stones, building new heaps. In between, also small trips to our secret bathing place, where you can get in 20 minutes by foot or even faster by bike, and then to dive into the beautiful water. This is kind of our outdoor bathroom. You can go there all summer long and wash yourself. Back to the construction site. We continue to toil, to pick, to separate the earth from the stones. Stones can always be used to build walls later, for instance for the square in front of the house, which I will have to rebuild. We also want to build more terraces at the bottom of the slope, or rather, walls that terrace the slope. There again, sufficient material will be needed. Because we cannot drive to the house by car, we always have to think carefully about what we are transporting here from somewhere else, and above all, what of the resulting material can be reused? The principle is to carry as few things back and forth as possible. When I'm working here, I move forward relatively quickly because I'm really looking forward to the final work, perhaps more the work with wood, although I have by now made friends with the stones and even with concreting. Here I have built a slide. At first it didn't work out so great and it fell to pieces fairly quickly. The little camera also fell into the thorny bushes. I had to cut back in order to find the camera again. Later I rebuilt the slide and now it can withstand even stronger stone attacks.